From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, we're at Radio Row at ACC Kickoff. The Noles taking center stage. Corey Clark sits down one-on-one with Mike Norvell, and we kind of sum up the rest of the day for you all, folks. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Corey, you know what's in the bottle? Nutrients and vitamins, right?
Yeah, lots of them.
Yeah. And caffeine, 260 milligrams, all natural. Slow absorption, natural absorption just makes it absolutely well-timed to carry throughout your day. 7 hours of energy in one little bottle. Take it wherever you go. Shake it and take it. Flavor varieties, potions to help anything that you want to step your game up on as we get ready for camp, Corey, which is going to start, in a
Week. Well,
less than a week by the time
6
you're
days.
listening to this.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Next
So
Wednesday.
Go to vitaminenergy.com. Synergistically created, formulated to be the best on the market. It's been proven clinically. Corey Clark, we're here as part of Warchant.com's coverage of ACC Kickoff. Warchant.com. Hit the thumbs up, rate, review, subscribe. Good to see you back here. Were we together last year on Radio Row?
I feel like we were for a little bit, yeah.
I got such a bad memory of last year. They said we always were at the Westin, now we're at the Hilton.
Yeah.
Feels different. All right, so we got, there's nobody else on this beat. For whatever has happened with the media access for us during spring football, Mike Norvell still carves out like 30 minutes to speak just to the local media that's here.
And they kick regular media out. Like, I shouldn't say regular media, but non-local media they kick out. And they did that today, earlier today when we were doing the interview. So just know that it was like strictly for us, like 12 or 15 people that were here, which was nice.
Try to come in there like, hey, no, it's not for you. So shout out to Mike for that. So we got that. We've got a breakout room like 30 minutes from him and all the players, and then they were at the podium. So
and a reminder, the players were Daryl Jackson, Earl Little, Tommy Castellanos, and Richie Leonard.
Correct.
The fourth, right? The fourth? Yeah.
Ironically enough, the fourth player and the fourth. So I guess let's start the first part of the day, that 9 o'clock, meeting. And I don't know if you've wrote by the time that it's going to be on the site, I guess, by the time
it's written. Yeah.
But
I wrote about Norvell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured. The leadership question that I think Ira asked them about, just like I guess what's not leadership, maybe
it was the
team
summer
camaraderie.
activities. Yeah.
Yeah. That caught my attention.
That's what I wrote about. And you guys have already read it by now if you're listening to this. Come on, guys. It's been up for almost 24 hours at this point. I know you've read it. You probably read it twice and sent it to people. But, yeah, that was what the column was about, was he said last year we did a lot of we felt like we were forced to do a lot of – we forced a lot of team-building stuff is what he said. And he goes, there was a reason for that. And obviously the between the lines there is he knew that they needed they needed to bond because they weren't. It wasn't coming together as a team. And that clearly played out once the season started. And, when you talk about – and I wrote this, like he deserves a lot of criticism, fair criticism, not just for 2-10, but like talking up the team before the season. Like he thought they were going to be good. He thought Darius Washington was going to be an All-American, or these were the things he was saying anyway. For him to then say but the one thing he did caution us all about was he didn't know what it was going to look like from a leadership standpoint in the moment of truth, as he says in the interview. He didn't know how good they were going to be at leadership and response because he hadn't seen it yet. And that played out. So he was right on the money about that. So, and he does think this year, again, it would be weird if he said otherwise, but this year he thinks that he likes the leadership in that room. He likes the leadership on this team now.
I feel like he's been a good sport. When we were in Amelia Island a few months ago, I guess, Ira and some of the local media were out there too, and, we kind of pulled Mike Norvell aside, and somebody from, I think, a radio station in Jacksonville kind of came up and was like, hey, what was it like last year? Like 2-10, and Mike's like, yeah, it wasn't fun. But he's been a really good sport about kind of taking the questions about last year.
Yeah.
But, man, when
he's got to be, though, right? Like, you can't bristle when you go 2-10.
Absolutely. But when he was in the podium in the main ballroom, man, like I hit record, left, came back in like 5-6 minutes into it, and man, he pivoted into like Preacher Mike, where his voice was getting elevated and raised. He was just talking about, listen, last year doesn't mean anything. He knows how good these guys can be. I feel like he's now, like he's played the good soldier or whatever. Like, listen, I get it. Last year was a struggle. I apologize. We're doing our best to get it better. Feel like he is, I don't know how much of him kind of pushing back now on the fact that, like, this is such a, everything's in shambles. You can't build this thing back. It's almost like he's being defiant. Like, listen, like, I've got this. I don't know how much of that is him truly feeling confident about it, or just how much of it is him like, all right, man, I've taken it on the chin for like 7 months. Enough.
Yeah, well, but the thing is like until the season starts. By the way, are the people behind us doing a show right now?
I think it's Dabo, actually, maybe, speaking to two guys. But yeah, I think they're recording something.
So they're okay. And it's Dabo?
I don't know if it's Dabo, but
I was just wondering because I didn't know if they're actually recording. If they're recording something and this is part of the natural conversation to be that loud, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine.
No, it's,
okay.
I think Clemson goes tomorrow, actually, so it's not Dabo. I don't know who it is.
But they're talking to someone on.
They're very boisterous.
Yeah,
they're very boisterous.
So, but anyway, so when it comes to Norvell, like I think this is – he also smart enough to know that he can't bristle about it. But once Alabama gets here, once the season starts, 2024 really doesn't matter. Now it'll always be in our heads and our consciousness forever. We'll dream about it. But when the season starts, he's right. Like, it doesn't impact it at all. And the fact that he mentioned that with the breakout when he talked to us and just the local media, he was talking about 23 doesn't mean anything to this team and 24 doesn't mean anything to this team, and that's true. Like, the only proof we need, and I've made this point many times, that the previous season doesn't matter at all is what happened to Florida State last year. Like, they were really good the year before. Did that carry over? Nope. So the fact that they were horrible last year shouldn't really carry over either, especially when the whole team is different.
For us, this was a big day on Wednesday because it's Florida State. Do you feel they still have the same juice? We always talk about the logo, the brand. I mean, do you still feel the same amount of, like, I know Tommy was in the corner.
He had a throng around him, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, everybody's still curious, it feels like, around the conference. I mean, when people are going to ask you about Florida State, other media members, like, Coach, what's going on in Florida State? Like, what are you going to be telling them?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I do think they're still – they're the belle of the ball still, man. As far as the interest, it's them and Clemson, which has always been the case. I mean, we got the most media here. There was, I can't imagine what Stanford's local media contingent looked like if they had any. I can't imagine they did. Pitt might have one. Boston has none. Like, it's Florida State and Clemson. Those are the two biggest programs. They're also the two that bring the biggest media, have the most media attention. And it would be one thing if they were coming off 7-5 or 8, but when you're coming off 2-10, that's a story. You know what I mean? Florida State 2-10 is a. It's not a story anybody wants to talk about or write about, at least not on this show. But it is a story. So yeah, I think they still get a lot of attention. And that's the thing about Norvell. He knows that you want to be on either end of the polar opposite. If you either want to be 13-0 or horrible. That middle is just boring.
Help us out. Help us out.
It's not something to talk about when you go 2-10.
If another media member from, like, a paper in Florence, South Carolina or something is like, man, what happened last year, or like, what's going to happen this year? Like, what would you tell them?
It's a good question. I think I would tell them they're going to be better. That's my stock answer when anybody asks me. Like, because people will ask me when they see me at, corner pocket bar and grill. Yeah, Appalachian Highway, right? They'll ask me, like, come on, man, how good are they going to be? It's like, dude, I don't know, but I can promise you they're going to be better. Right. And they will be better. I think they'll be significantly better. I think it starts with the two hires they made at coordinator, but then they have replenished the entire team. In fact, I also wanted to mention Pettibone, because Mike Norvell gushed about him as just a leader. And that's the thing, man. I don't know how good Tommy Castellanos is going to be as a quarterback. I know he's going to be a good leader. I think, anyway. I just think this team has taken to him. Same thing with Pettibone, man. He's not I don't know if he's an NFL center, but he's a good college center, and he is huge for that room and for that offensive line. But anyway, so I just think when somebody asks me that, I'm like, they're not going to be worse. They're going to be significantly better. But is that 7 wins, 6 wins, or 9 or 10 wins? Who could know? How could anybody predict that? But I tell them they're going to be better is my stock answer.
Those loud people behind you, by the way, I heard them talking earlier in the day. The one guy he thinks Florida State's going to win 8 or 9 games, and it's because of the defense.
Okay.
He says, no, why? How come no one's talking about the Tony White hire?
Yeah.
We spoke to Earl Little Jr., we spoke to Darrell Jackson. Anything growing in your confidence about the team? And we can start defense or just overall. I mean, just
tell you what grows in my confidence is it Jason Jenkins?
Yeah.
So I think we thought when he got injured before the spring, or in the spring, I don't remember. I think it was before the spring.
Which, by the way, Daryl gave us an actual injury. He's like Achilles.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's like, he's like, man, for what he dealt with, for him to be this far along, and then to your point.
So, and so Achilles are tricky, obviously, but it couldn't have been a complete tear. The reason I say that is if that happened in January, you're out until January. Achilles are a month. I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure.
Close,
I'm really close. I went to school for 5 years. I went to college for 5 years. That got me close. But if it's a real Achilles tear, you're out for the full season. But the fact that, and the reason I don't think you will be, is because Norvell's always weird about injuries. We get it. But he did say to Wednesday that he expects Jenkins to be back by the middle of fall camp. He'll at least be practicing with the team. And it's like, well, gosh darn, then that means he'll be playing. And I think that's a guy, again, he's not a superstar. He's not Reggie White. I say Reggie White because he's from Tennessee. Right. But he is a guy that is a grown man football player that gives you a lot of. So
we're concerned about their defensive line, right?
Well, that's a guy that
could be available now,
right? So it gives you him. You've got McCray. You've got Amari Williams. You've got Jane. I'm so worried about that end position.
Yeah.
But if that kid is part of the plan, if he actually is available, then you've got another solid, to maybe good, I don't know, but at least solid college defensive end, and not a guy that's just going to be pushed into the sideline. That's a really big deal, man. So if he comes back, I thought that was really important news to hear that that's a possibility, that he could be back. And maybe, I don't know if he's playing for Alabama, but he could play for the conference games, and that's enormous, I think. Potentially it's enormous. But, yes, the defense could be good. I'm not good. The defense will be improved. And we have no idea what it's going to look like with the 3-3-5, but I'm excited to see it because I do believe in this coordinator. He's done it at other places. And I think he has the requisite talent to be decent. Not great, but decent.
What is tough for me to reconcile is that under Adam Fuller they had a really good defense. I don't know if like an all-time defense, but 2023 that was a really good defense. So obviously he was doing something right. But then when I was speaking to Earl on Wednesday, he just talked about, and I think maybe you even asked him, what's this defense going to be like? And he's like, fast and physical. And I'm like, oh, sounds good, but how can you play faster? And he's like, listen, we have our stuff put in. He's like, we've got some stuff that we can run. He's like, but the coaches explain it in a way that we all understand what we have to do. And with Fuller, he would talk about everything's a picture, and we'd show the guys how it's all going to develop.
Right? Yeah, that's
right.
I
do wonder if there was something about Adam Fuller, which is the way he kind of communicated that maybe. A guy like Tatum, Bethune can understand and then distill it down to the other guys. But clearly there wasn't anybody like that could distill it to everybody else on the team last year. So if you actually have a scheme that everybody's kind of on the same page and knows what they actually have to do, because for so many of the mistakes, linebacker position, right? That wasn't lack of ability. It was, I didn't know I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's confusion. It was just mass confusion at that position.
It's just eliminating that, right? So your whole thing is just having Gus Malzahn raises your floor. Well, man, just having a scheme that everybody seems to know and understand for a defense has to pay huge dividends when you were that poor last year.
If they figure it out and they know what they're doing for the most part and they're well coached, which we think they will be, then absolutely, man, make them earn it. That's all I was saying for most of last year. That's what you kind of say about any defense. If they're going to hit a play, they're going to hit a play. They're good too. But you don't just give them free 60-yard touchdowns because your safety isn't where he's supposed to be, or your two linebackers went to one hole and all this. There's nobody on that side of the field. So the fact that they should know where they're supposed to be.
Alignment, assignment, execution, right?
And if you get beat, you get beat. If the guy breaks a tackle, he breaks a tackle. But at least you're there. Yeah. Like the fact that there were so many plays last year where it didn't look like anybody knew where they were supposed to be, and that goes all the way back to Ireland, where it's like, man, that seemed easy. Why are they running right down your throat? What is that linebacker doing on that play? If you can eliminate that and just make good players earn their points and earn their yards, well, then you just tip your hat, as 11 used to say. Yeah. Sorry, I keep spitting on you. I think it's the light. I don't think I'm spitting more than normal. I just think the sunlight bounding in.
Just so you know, this is a video. I've been recording this the whole time on the video, so they can see the light hitting off your dome.
I should stand like this then, so people can see the whole picture.
Drink it all in. Yeah, so, I don't know if defense is the thing that I'm the most
But when it comes to defense, I kind of look at it like pitching in baseball. Like, if a kid hits a home run, he hits a home run. Don't let it be a 3-run home run because you walked the first 2 guys or you made an error. Like, make them earn it. And I feel like this coach has a way to communicate where teams have to go earn it. In Nebraska wasn't blessed with rocket scientists probably on their defense, and they weren't blessed with a bunch of NFL players. And yet, they held Colorado to no point, or like 1 field goal, I think, or 1 touchdown, and they were in that game with Ohio State, and they played really well every game but like Indiana, or there's some game they got blown out. But they played really well every other game and made teams go earn it, and that's all I want to see, competence.
When can we see you at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill next?
It's a good question. This weekend, might not be down there for Friday night, but Saturday night for sure. I'll be there watching the Bravos lose.
Oh, not with that attitude.
Yeah,
live music?
Lose.
Question mark?
No, they did have live music last weekend, though. But no, I don't think there's any live music this weekend. But you don't need it. You got the jukebox. You got Corey Clark, Stephanie Clark, the whole gang. Aslan, you're always there. You're rolling in. You're on the deck. So come on out the Corner Pocket. Yeah, just vaping and drinking.
2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99. Comes with a side dish of your choice. And then that happy hour goes from 4 to 7 o'clock throughout the week. And then I wonder if they're still doing it all day on Sunday, or is that just an NFL season thing?
I would assume that's an NFL season thing, but I shouldn't assume that. They probably are. It's probably just every day.
Go check it out. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We are back in Charlotte, Radio Row. Enjoy all that background noise, everybody. It adds to the ambiance as you're driving around.
It's like a Super Bowl.
Yeah. ACC Kickoff, Hilton Hotel, Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it.
It's not really a fan-friendly event.
No, it's not.
In fact, a security guard came over to one of the FSU administrators that are here and asked about a certain person if he was in the media or if he was a fan.
Right.
Because if he was a fan, they were going to ask him to leave.
Well, there's 2 guys in the room. I think one came up and introduced himself to you with an awesome haircut. But they both had like Florida State polo shirts on, but like polo shirts that were like, don't work for the team and like you're just a fan probably.
Well, either way. It's cool that people are interested. I mean, they should embrace that.
There's an old salty dog guy here that I don't know if he's media, but he went up to like Earl Little, and then he also went up to Mike Norvell. And if you watch the breakout video, which is
we have a ton of videos on the site, everyone, on YouTube. You're going to be overloaded, so enjoy it all. It's like you're here with us.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 38-minute, like the 40-minute interview with Norvell, everybody. That's going to be the one. But this guy goes up to him. He's like, listen, I've been a Florida State fan for 60 years. I've never seen a team with such leadership as it was last year. Is that a good opinion? And then Norvell's like, yeah, man, like last year really doesn't matter what happens this year. And he's like, well, but, and then the guy interrupts him and I'm like, I got to walk away. I'm getting a cringe.
Yeah.
He was like a fan. It's like, hey, man, like we're here to actually ask him questions, man. You could wait for him to go off to the side. But you can hear that interview in the beginning of it. It's terrific. Corey, we got all the players here on Radio Row. We'll probably do all of them on the next show, but I don't want to let's tease some of it maybe, I guess. Let's start with Tommy.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting the way he's handled the Alabama questions because I asked Daryl too. I'm like, what was your reaction when you heard the comments from Tommy? He's like, yeah, man, like he's my guy. I'm behind him. Let's go. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. But then like when we hear Tommy's like, yeah, man, like I'm standing on business. But he's like, I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
Right.
So like he still feels like we're trying to straddle this line where the people who liked his comments are like, hell yeah, man, let's be confident and let's be brash. But he seems to kind of be trying to have best of both worlds.
Yeah, and I wish he wouldn't with that. For the Alabama stuff that he talked about, and you'll get to listen to the interview tomorrow. He's very engaging, man. I think people are gonna like him as long as he's just even pretty good. People are gonna like him, man, because he is tough. As he kept using the word brave, which I like.
And abundant.
But brave is a good word because he's not big, he's not tall, but he plays hard and he believes in himself and he's willing to take a risk and put himself out there. There is some bravery. It's not soldier bravery. Right. It's a different kind of bravery. It's athletics. I get it, but I do like the word brave and willing to put himself on the line. But yeah, man, I don't think most people really have a problem with. They might have had a problem with the way he worded, like saying, I don't think Alabama can stop me, or they don't have Saban to save them. That might have gone a little too far. But I think most people like that, man. They like that kind of confidence from their quarterback and their leader, especially a kid that's like that kind of runner. Like, it's one thing to say something like that when you're Carson Beck and you could get sacked 9 times, and so much depends on your offensive line. Like, you can't talk like that. Like Kromenhoek, if he'd have been like, look, the Notre Dame can't stop me. They can't stop us. It's like, dude, you're going to be on your back the whole game. But with Castellanos, it's different. He's a different kind of quarterback. The problem, and we didn't talk about it with the interview, but the only problem I really had with that story was the way he talked about his former team. Right. But I thought when we talked to him, he talked about them and said us when he was talking about Boston College, because we asked him specifically about that 2023 game against Florida State. So I do like that. I wish, in hindsight, I would have liked him to maybe not, and maybe he probably thinks that too. Maybe don't. You can compliment Florida State players and the athletes on this team without, degrading the guys on your former team. But even still, man, this guy, it's kind of all writing on him. And it really is. Not just because he's the quarterback and he's going to have the ball on every play, but I feel like he is the dude on the team. Like, he is the guy they're going to follow.
The only way this all works is if he's awesome.
I don't even know. He doesn't have to be awesome for them to get 8 wins. But I'm saying,
is that working though?
I mean, coming off 2 wins probably. But I'm saying,
preserving your job, it's working, but not what Florida State wants
to
be.
For them to be in playoff contention, he is going to have to be awesome. I just hope he's decent. But I feel like his personality really is this. I don't think it's a put on. Like when we were in the breakout rooms talking to the players, he comes in last because he had been doing something else, and he yells out each player's names. They smile as soon as he says something. Like, I do feel like it matters to him, and I do think he's a guy that kind of galvanizes the team, and that is something you need, man. It's, if DJ had been good last year, it would have been one thing, but not being good and being kind of a mouse, quiet like a mouse, that's a horrible combination. So this guy will be a leader, and it's not Jameis Winston leading you into a national championship, but he could lead you into the Pop-Tart Bowl. Yeah. We'll take that. Yeah, we'll go to the Pop-Tart Bowl, man. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's 2 things are going to happen. They're either going to beat Alabama, and everyone's going to be like, oh, my gosh, like, this guy's he's it, man. Like, we believe in him. Or they lose, and he's going to have to he'll have to probably readjust some stuff, like, in terms of, like, what he's thinking, and he's going to have to show through his actions and holding himself accountable that, like, hey, man, it's all fine. Like, let's just hunker down. Let's reset. We'll be fine. So, I mean, either way, it's going to be so much on his shoulders, because either it's going to be like, all right, man, like, this thing is rocket ship to the moon, man. Like, you got to carry us. Or now it's like, well, what do we do now? Like, what you said you were going to take us a victory in this game. You did not. It was not going to be a victory.
Right.
So, I mean, that's going to be the really interesting juxtaposition. But after talking to him, I feel like he's probably up to it, man. I think he'd be like, listen, man, like, I believe in you guys. I love you guys, even though they lose the game, let's say. And I still think he can keep.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't get shut out, if they score 10 points, it's one thing. But if they lose, but it's not his. Like, if he plays well and they just lose, and he's not going to have a game like he had against 2023 Florida State. But if he has a game similar-ish to that, a couple turnovers, but a couple touchdowns, over 300 yards of total offense, you're going to be like, okay, that's something to build on. That will work against teams not named Alabama. That'll work in this. That'll play in this conference. Because he should have more talent around him than DJ had last year. But I just go back to that personality, and you guys can watch all the videos because there's a few of them on our site with him from media days. Obviously, we'll have the interview on tomorrow's show with him, I think.
Yeah.
It is a personality that works for this position and for this school. I just think it does, man.
Will it work for this team in this moment, though, with where they're at?
Look, man, it is all about how they respond to their first setback, whether it's Alabama or Virginia or all. Hopefully, they're not all setbacks, but they're going to lose some games this year. They're going to have bad quarters. They might get shut out in a half. You'd hope that wouldn't happen, but it might. If that happens, how are they going to respond? How's he going to respond? What kind of leader is he going to be? Anybody can be positive and a positive, impactful guy when nothing's happening. When you're just lifting weights and running on grass in June, but when the games start and they don't play well, how is he going to respond? How is he going to lead that way? That's the only question I have about him as a leader. But I'm telling you, the way these guys light up when he talks, it's not put on. I think the way Darryl Jackson talks about him, isn't a put on that. He means it. This guy does. He has kind of galvanized the team in a short period of time, which is awesome. I just hope he's good.
Who's the best dressed out of the 4 guys, do you think, players? I like Richie. I think Richie's got like a light colored suit. I'm all about the light colored suits in July.
Daryl had a lot of the accoutrement.
Dude, I
He's loaded up with he got the necklace, the jewelry. He did some good things there.
Dude, sitting across from him, I almost laughed at how big he is.
Yeah. Like his hands.
Cranium is gigantic.
Yeah, he is just a big dude.
He sounds like a guy who's ready, too, and you'll hear that interview later on. A couple other things.
Did you ask him how much he can bench?
I didn't do that. I didn't do any of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should ask him that.
I should have.
I did ask Tommy how fast he runs. You could ask Daryl how much he can bench.
I should have. Maybe I can pull him aside and
just get it off the record. Yeah, add it to the show notes.
Mix it into a show for next time around. Some of the other things that have happened this last few days here at Kickoff, we spoke about the other night. Jimbo Fisher, ACC analyst. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man.
Soft launch for a Jimbo 3.0.
It's going to be interesting when because they'll do a game at Tallahassee. They'll do a game in Doak. Like that show, The Huddle, he's on the road. Yeah. So he'll be at these games. They'll do a Florida State game. So I don't know that he's been inside Doak since, what was the last game he would have coached? Was it when he challenged the FanDuel? Was it the Louisville game? Was that the last time he was in the Doak? I feel like.
Look it up. I'll look it up.
Because the home game they won to get bowl eligible, it was Odell. And then Florida was the last game. So it was whoever they played before the Florida game.
Wasn't it Delaware State?
Oh, man. I thought that might have been Odell.
Or was that an Odell game?
Either way.
Delaware State, and then they played Florida.
Okay, so Delaware State was the last game.
Hey, man, he went out 2-game winning streak at home.
Yeah.
Took down Syracuse and Delaware State.
There you go. And then had something for the Gators, too. I think he could be really good in that role. If he allows himself to be critical of coach, because that's always, you never know how a coach will be. Like if Jimbo was himself, because trust me, Jimbo will criticize anyone if he thinks they're doing something dumb. If he'll be that guy and say, this is why this was a dumb play, I know he wouldn't word it like that. This is why you shouldn't have done this. This was a mistake. Or this guy's incredible. Like, Jimbo's words matter. They resonate, man. He still knows football, and he knows what good football looks like, really almost better than anyone in a spot like that. So I think it could be really good, man. And, no offense to Mark Richt, but Mark Richt wasn't adding a whole lot to those shows. Yeah. And it's a pretty well-produced show. They do a good job. Taylor does a really good job. McLean does a good job. EJ's on that show sometimes. I think Eddie Royal. That's a good crew they got. Probably better than the ACC deserves, quite frankly. But it's a good crew.
And
I think Jimbo will add a lot to it if he's willing to, people make fun of how fast he talks. I don't care about that. If he's getting his point across and is actually being critical when it demands criticism, I'm all about it. I think he'll do really good in that. I think he'll do really well in that role. It'll be interesting if he covers a Florida State game.
Right.
And Norvell loses and doesn't look good.
It's
going to be, but not only that, but how much is he going to criticize the Florida State head coach?
I think he's going to be really kind. I think he's going to be overly gracious. Hey, it was tough.
But I'd love him if he was just himself. And there, he's the guy that made fun of people thinking Nick Saban was the best college coach of all time. Greatest coach of college all time. Greatest coach of all time. Rolling his eyes. So if he's that guy, what would he really think about Norvell losing at home to Virginia Tech? I would love to see that Jimbo. It would be Feinbaum ratings, man. That's what the ACC needs is that Jimbo just unchained and unloosened.
But he would just be like, Virginia. Brent's got them playing really well, man. That's a good team. That's a well-coached team.
Come on, Jimbo. Don't be that guy. Bring it.
Jimbo.
Be Jimbo.
So I guess RIP, the thought of this all being policed and handled a few days ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you talking about the Jim Phillips?
Well, no. Well, go with that first, and I'll ask the other part.
No,
later.
Go ahead.
So they had a few days ago. It was listen, collectives, you guys cannot just simply be this money filtering machine for activities that don't have business purposes, right? It's you cannot act simply as a promoter for a meet and greet for a player to get money, because if your only business purpose is to generate money for that kid, that's not a business purpose. Well, then they push back. And then now they're going to treat collectives as just a regular, any kind of business entity. So we're we had maybe a 72-hour window where it's like, all right, man, it's only going to be rev share and then legitimate NIL. But now we're back to rev share.
I would still think there could be a little. It's the policing of that, though. Like, they could still make the collectives open the books and say, okay, you raised $11 million. Where did it go? Why did that kid get $1.3 million? What did he do with that money? What was he paid for?
Yeah, because it's a $700 still, I think, does stand. So anything over $700 gets audited. So I guess maybe that's makes you feel okay about it. But that's my thing, though. It's like, well, what if they say hey, he came over to a booster's house, and then his presence alone brought all these other important people to the home, which benefited the university and the program, up to the point that we think it was worth $1 million.
And he saved a baby that had slipped into the pool. How much is a baby's life worth? That's $1.4 million. Just make up some crazy story. We had to pay him over $1 million. He saved my niece.
Are these the breadcrumbs you leave for me when you're ready to wrap up the show?
Stuff like you ask a real question?
Passive aggressive way of being stupid question, Aslan.
No, that's a good question. But Phillips talked about that too. He's there's this gray area where we don't want to work in. And it's it's up to us. It's basically
show restraint.
Show restraint. It's you can't show restraint if Arkansas is not showing restraint. If you want that raw offensive guard from Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Arkansas is paying them $600,000, you're going to offer $603,000. If you really need them, until there's real regulations, it's still going to be very gray. It's going to be gray. But at least they're trying. Like I always say, I've been saying, at least they're trying to police it. And then what I thought was interesting about Phillips was, we all know the concessions they made. Florida State and Clemson won, even though it wasn't an actual lawsuit. They won. But he said that Florida State and Clemson have both assured him that they still want to be in the ACC moving forward. It's I don't necessarily believe that, but he does, or at least he says he does.
No, so did he make that up, or did they actually tell him that just to keep a brave face, hey, we're happy here?
Look, man, I will continue to make this point. If Florida State can make $60 million in the ACC, but stay in the ACC, and it's easier to get to the playoff, then make $75 million in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The easier path to the playoff
is the more important.
Is probably worth $15 million.
Yeah, well said.
If you're going to be as good as Florida State needs to be, right. That ramp to the playoff is so much easier in this conference than it even would be in the SEC. So if they can get in the neighborhood of 65, if they can get in the neighborhood where they're only making 20% or 15% less than the Big Ten or the SEC, well, now you're all right. Now, the other sports might suffer a little bit, but football, you're right there because you get a chance to get to the playoff. So, anyway, I definitely think the FSU and Clemson won out, and they're going to get out eventually. But in the short term, it's a great fit for them, and they might. Let's see what it looks like in 2027. Florida State, who doesn't have maybe a great team, still makes the playoff, goes 10-2, makes the playoff because they're in the ACC. They make all that extra money because they make the playoff. Maybe they win a game all in the playoff. All of a sudden, you've made all this money when you weren't as good as the fourth best team in the SEC. It's a lot harder to win in the SEC. It's a lot harder to make the playoff. So maybe they start doing different calculations. Do we really want to jump into that where we play Oklahoma? Look at Florida's schedule this year. You want any part of that?
I'm sure boosters are let's sell the stadium out.
And I can promise you, Bill at Corner Pocket wants it. It's so much better for the town. It's in the city for that for you to be in the SEC. But I don't think the same about the Big Ten. I would go to the SEC in a heartbeat, even if it's only $15 million a year more, and it's going to be a lot harder. The SEC just changes the whole. If you're in the SEC, it changes the whole complexion of the city and the athletic department. Being in the Big Ten does not at all, in my opinion.
Because you change your athletic department because you have the money, man.
No, but I mean, as far as the success you're going to have on the field,
right,
and also what it means to the city.
To the city, I agree with
Minnesota
that. Minnesota
and Michigan State and Rutgers coming to Tallahassee does nothing for you.
I keep picking on Rutgers this month. I apologize.
I should have gone back to Purdue.
Piscataway stand up.
Purdue is my go-to when I'm picking on the Big Ten.
We got the Noler, the guy that's a half Boiler, half Noel.
Purdue's done some things. Neil Armstrong again.
Drew Brees,
Boilermaker. Neil Armstrong and Drew Brees, and Glenn Big Dog Robinson.
That's right.
Early '90s basketball star. Florida State, I'm sure, said, yeah, we're happy. They wouldn't say otherwise. But I would assume if they have an exit strategy to get in the SEC in 2 years, they would jump at it.
Yeah, they're happy.
The Big Ten, though, I think you pause, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because, again, if you're making $15 million or less, but you're in the ACC, is it worth it to go to the Big Ten where you don't have any natural rivalries? You have to all the travel, the baseball team, the softball team, that gets lessened immediately, and then also like it's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder to beat Michigan and USC and Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Tony Petitti called Michael Alford tomorrow and was like, hey, 2 years from now, here it is, full share, we'll be able to rework the TV contract, get a little bit more money, are you in? I think he says absolutely.
But Alford would definitely want to do the math to see how much more money, like how close they are to the money they'd be making if they stay in the ACC. You know what I mean? Like, again, because I do think it's hard to quantify how valuable it is to have an easy path. It's hard to quantify Clemson making the playoff last year.
Right.
Like, they didn't deserve to be in the playoff, but they won a crappy conference. No. They got in because they got to win a crappy conference. But they weren't a playoff caliber team, I don't think, not by their standards. But how much money do they make from that? The access to the playoff, that's worth, like, what would Florida pay to get to play an ACC
places.
schedule?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well said. I want to call back to a few minutes ago. Strong Arkansas geography to cite Jonesboro and not to do Little Rock or Fayetteville.
The reasoning, I think, Aslan, is I hesitate in saying this, but I think there was a school shooting there, and that's why it resonates. Sorry, everyone. I also know Littleton.
Yeah. Arkansas State's in Jonesboro.
Oh, maybe that's why I knew it.
Yeah.
I might have just made that up about the other thing.
I can't look.
I mean, odds are.
Yeah. We're going to take a break for a little bit. Then we're going to have the Mike Norvell interview with Corey Clark. Corey, I think that might be. Are we going to end
with me talking about a school shooting? Let's end on something a little more.
Well, no, we're going to go to the Mike Norvell interview.
Oh, yeah. But going into the Norvell interview.
Okay. I'm not saying it's a gas hero. I thought that might have been. That's like the best interview I think I've heard you had. That was really cool with you and Mike. It was like super relaxed. I thought you did a really good job. How great yourself.
Thank you, buddy. I thought I did well. It's just the time constraints are a little tough. Yeah. But I hit everything I wanted to hit. And the thought with it's only 10 minutes, but it's like if people really want to know how he feels about last year and this year and who's going to be your starters on the offensive line, we've legitimately got 40 minutes. We've got an hour of him. We've got an hour of him talking today that's all over our website and all over our YouTube channel. So you can go see all that and see him literally answer every question. Aslan sets up cameras, and he goes for 40 minutes. Yeah. It's like you're there. It's literally like you're doing like a virtual reality as a press member. So go watch all that. But, yeah, so I just thought I'd go a different tact. And you guys will see how it went. But, yeah, I think – and he likes me. You know that.
Yeah, he does. He does, for
he
sure.
Tolerated you. Yeah. But he likes me.
I do.
And to shout out Aslan, you won't hear it today, but in tomorrow's show, he does a really good job with the fun stuff at the end of those interviews. Those are always a big hit. People like them, and the players like them. I don't know what you asked Daryl Jackson, but I saw him smile more in the 4 minutes he was with you, or the 10 minutes he was with you, than he did in the 40 minutes he was up there in the breakout room. So you do. That's what this show needs to.
We try to.
Well, that's why we're the best in the business.
Ah, yes, the dog days of summer are here. For a lot of folks, that means sending the kids off to college. For a lot of you, it means you're going to be going off to college. Ask for a gift on your way out. Ask for security. Ask for style. Mom and dad, help your kid out going to college. They're going to lose their wallet probably because they're probably going to get a little tipsy one night. And by little, I mean a lot tipsy. And they're going to lose their wallet. When's the last time you guys lost your wallets? Never, right? But I lost my wallet all the time in college. I wish I had Ridge and their great wallets that now have AirTag compatibility. So get your Apple AirTag, slips right into your money clip on your Ridge wallet. You lose your wallet, quote unquote. You didn't really lose it. You're going to know where it's at because you can track it with the AirTag. Ridge gives you the goods. And they also give you the peace of mind of a lifetime warranty, free shipping, 99-day risk-free trial. Give it a try. Treat yourself. Also treat that young man or woman in your life that's going and seeking out higher education. Use the promo code WAKEUP over at ridge.com to save on your order. Again, the promo code WAKEUP over at ridge.com.
All right, man, I want to start it. I was thinking about your career, especially because of who your offensive coordinator is now. I think it must have been, I don't know, the fall of 2006, the spring of 2006. When do you interview for the GA job at Tulsa?
So I interviewed, it was in March of that 2006.
After Central Arkansas for you.
So I was a GA at Central Arkansas. I get the phone call. Coach Malzahn had went to Tulsa. He had a few, I guess maybe a month plus that he was there. And ironically, Rhett Lashley, who is GA at Arkansas, chose to go into private business.
Oh.
So
whatever happened to him? Did he ever get back into football?
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked out pretty good for him. Right? But that was the open door of opportunity that when Rhett decided to go into private business, Coach Malzahn had to hire a new GA. And was fortunate. His high school offensive line coach, Don Strubing, was a UCA grad.
Yeah.
Gave him my name and got to go interview. Now,
did you go
when
into
I
office?
got so I did. So I went to Tulsa, got a chance to visit with Coach Malzahn. He was looking for somebody who could come in and kind of, obviously do all the GA work. He wanted somebody that could have be able to signal, signal plays. I remember him asking me, "Have you ever signaled before?" Yeah, I've been doing it since I was 5 years old. Yeah, right. Yeah. Whatever I had to say. And so, but then I actually got hired, and the next Tuesday, I got hired on a Friday.
Were
I
you
believe
nervous
it was
going in?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know one Division I coach.
Right.
And here I get a chance to have an opportunity to go and interview at with one of the great offensive minds. And people, they do. He had a great background at Springdale High School. He just went to Arkansas, won the division and the SEC championship, all those things. But now, I was getting an opportunity to potentially be on his staff. Coach Graham, was another coach that had done some great things early, in his career. And so to be able to be a part of that, of course I was nervous. And, but then I remember, I was actually offered a full-time job at UCA to stay. And so I remember calling Coach Malzahn. He had not offered me the job yet.
Right.
I called him. I was like, Coach, I just kind of need to know whether if I'm the guy, great. If not, then I've got a great situation here. Well, I got offered the job, and I remember when I left that it was a big leap of faith. I mean, that a lot of guys that are GAs at Tulsa would love to go be an FCS position coach, but I wanted to have an opportunity to grow, and we were able to do that together. And I remember I met Rhett Lashley at Shiloh Christian. We sat in a classroom, and he basically handed me a playbook. And I got to learn all the things that he did because we were practicing the next Tuesday.
Spring practice
first.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, it's probably still been one of the longest stretches where I didn't sleep in just studying. I remember standing in front of a mirror, practice signaling. I just didn't want to get there and act like I didn't know what I was doing. And so, I studied my butt off, and still one of the greatest compliments I got was coming off the practice field after that first practice with him, Coach Han, and nobody knew who I was because I just showed up.
Right.
And, I had a bunch of, guys were like, man, so you played for Coach Malzahn, huh?
I've been studying it for 3 days.
No, I didn't. But it was that was a mad dash. And then, our 2 years together were really special. And
just how life is. The opportunity you got. There are a lot of very talented coaches that don't get their foot in the door right there. You get your foot in the door, and then you are, 19 years later, hiring him. It's just crazy how life works.
It is.
And what is that dynamic like? Because he kind of gave you your start. And now here you are hiring him. I assume the dynamics are a little, not tricky, but just completely, utterly different.
Yeah, no, it's unique, and it's something that, that I love. Just because, whether Gus Malzahn ever came to be the offense coordinator at Florida State, my feelings for him are true. And I love the man. I love just who he is, what he's about. With the opportunity he gave me, but and his choice. I don't think for all things that are happening and that have occurred, I don't think there's another coach that I would feel the same with to do what we've done and the manner of how we're doing it. And I don't probably not another coach that he would do the same thing with.
Right.
And so it really is a great dynamic. It's one that we have a very similar beliefs and thoughts and things, but then there's also our differences. And I think that perspective is beneficial for everybody. And he, even though his responsibility is the offensive side of the ball, he also gets to bring a big picture perspective to all things that we're doing. And it's been great having him here, and all things that he's brought.
When you first saw Tommy as a Boston College quarterback, it wasn't a lot of fun for you. You won the game, but holy cow. I imagine watching film. I can't remember who Boston College played that week before you guys. It was not a good team. I think he came in as a sub and was very good, but it wasn't a good team. It was like Wagner's.
It was Northern Illinois.
There you go. Was it Northern Illinois? Oh, that's a real team. I didn't mean that. No, hey, no disrespect to all our Northern Illinois listeners. But either way, you're the number 3 team in the country. In the way he played in that game, the way he carried himself, as if I'm the best player on the field, whether he was or wasn't, he was incredible. That had to resonate, right? Like that had, and also you had to be like, really, dude? Your second ever college game, you're going to play like this?
Well, I actually remember when he left Central Florida. Because Tommy, if you remember when he came out of high school, I loved him as a player. We offered him as but at a different position.
Right.
And it was one thing that, it was COVID. It was coming off of that. There wasn't, all the camps. There were some workouts, but there just wasn't just a great dynamic. And I remember when he went to UCF, he played some as a freshman, and you saw the flashes of what was there. And that was going into a year where we weren't going to take a transfer, with what we had. But I was really intrigued with him. Goes to Boston College, and I thought, all right, well, this would be interesting to see how this thing all plays out. And in that game that he went in, he had a couple of plays that were just wow plays, and but he didn't start it, and so I knew coming out of the game he was going to be the starter against us, and just the challenges that could present. Now, he played his butt off, that day, and threw for over 300 yards, had over 100 yards rushing against a really, I thought one of the best defenses in college football that year. And, but it was, you felt him. And, and he had his ups and downs throughout the course of the season, but man, you see, and you got to feel his presence on the field. And so, he's done it. And even this last year, him coming to Tallahassee and watching him in a different offense, a different scheme. You saw some of the areas of growth of what he was able to do. It gives me a lot of excitement for his potential and what we're going to ask him to do. What he's going to be able to bring and just who he is around our football team.
Obviously, health is important, but if he stays healthy, I try to stress this a lot when I write about him or talk about him. It's like there are mobile quarterbacks and there are running quarterbacks. And then there's like a bunch of stuff in the middle, and then there's somebody like him. Like running for 1,100 yards in a Power 4 conference, built like him, that's not normal. Like that, he is an exceptional runner. Now, he's also a quarterback. I'm not saying he's just a running back that can take a snap. He can throw the ball. But that, have you gone up against another quarterback or been around another quarterback that's that dynamic? And no offense to Jordan Travis, who was an exceptional quarterback. Was he that?
Well, no. I tell you, it's so funny because they're so different. Because people look at Jordan, and Jordan was a reactive runner. Like it wasn't. If you just called a direct run for Jordan, that wasn't. But now, if he had to react to something become he was special talent. I think Tommy is really, he's an exceptional athlete, player, runner. He can do it all, and his growth as a quarterback is what has me so very excited. And because it's to be able to, like to your point of being a guy that's rushed for 1,100 yards in a season at that position, it's unique, and to be able to do the things that he can do in the pocket, to be able to extend plays, I'm excited about what it can be because of that.
Yeah, and that dovetails into my final question, which is about, you mentioned it earlier in the day about kind of forced team building last year. You felt like you had to force it because the team wasn't coming together as I assume you wanted it to, and I feel like you had your fingerprint on that pretty early, like even before the season started. But how much does somebody like that, and obviously his comments from 3 weeks ago got a lot of publicity, but he believes in himself, he believes in his team, and he also seems like a natural leader, even though he's only been here for 8 months.
Yeah.
How much does he build confidence in leadership and just, camaraderie with your team?
No, I think it's, I love his personality. I love who he is, and it's one thing to be willing to share your thoughts and belief and confidence, but it's the other thing to be able to be willing to put in the work to make that real. And that's what he's been. He's been so real, transparent, open, invested into the guys that he's on this journey with, and that's what I love about him. And so, I remember a year ago at this very event, what's your concern? Well, it's the moment of truth.
Yeah.
And that was always my response, because, you can feel good about things, but it's still about the moment of truth. It's where it all comes down to it. And, who's going to respond, who's going to rise up, who's going to take hold of it. And, I'm excited about the guys of what I've seen to this point, of guys take hold of this football team. And, we're going to face ups and downs. In 23, we won 13 straight, games. And you know what? In 4 of those games we were down double digits.
Yeah.
And somebody had to take hold of that in those moments. And, the confidence, the belief, not everybody was the loudest of verbally, but, the actions had to show up. And I think we've had a lot of guys with great actions, but also the willingness to speak up and put themselves out there.
It starts Wednesday, right? Practice next Wednesday. All right. Coach Norvell, appreciate it, man.
All right, appreciate you guys. Go Noles.
All right, that's a wrap, everybody. That was awesome, right? I told you I was an awesome interview with Corey and Mike Norvell. I wouldn't lie to you, everybody. All right, so that's a wrap for today. We're probably on the road. Actually, hopefully we'll be back in Tallahassee by the time you all are hearing this. But we'll do one more show this week. I don't know if we're going to do a mailbag, but we'll go ahead and put Tommy and the rest of the players together in an episode for you. So they're all like 8-minute, 10-minute long interviews, so it might not be as long as you were hoping, but that's all we got them for. But we'll put all of them together for another episode for your listening pleasure. Jeff's got a whole bunch of stuff, the Jeff Cameron Show. So does our YouTube page, and so does warchant.com. Go check it out, everybody. On behalf of Coach Norvell, thank you. Or rather, thank you to Coach Norvell. And on behalf of Corey, thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.